entering the narrow path. When to pinpoint a start, when a desire has always been in my heart? While wandering in pleasure and trying, nothing was filling up my crying. At 20, I remember a night when a wave hit me of grief and fright. How can I live in such a world? How can I survive without losing my soul? All of life felt then as unrest. All was crippling my chest. Disappointment, emptiness and pain, all of our efforts and troubles in vain. No space or embrace where to shine my true face. No comfort to what I was carrying. No one to go to for a counseling. No idea of who I actually was, yet so afraid of never finding that out. But after a while, as God hears our every cry, even when we think we're all alone in the universe, He sent me a dear friend, one who is strange and older, funny, smart and multicolor. Didn't fit anywhere, but we fit perfectly together. The first person to accept me as I am, to support my voice and my heart, to cherish my word and presence, to enjoy together every sentence. Lubomir was his name. From there, the journey of the search began, searching everywhere for something divine. Couldn't actually put a label of what I was looking for, wasn't even sure was it reachable. But one thing I was certain, I would do my best to try and find it. I would search everywhere, inside and out. After a year, the first time I felt a presence, a voice clear and determined, one which I hadn't heard until then. During a time of diseases and confusion, He whispered gently to me, "Everything is all right," and He broke my great illusion. The illusion that the world was broken, waiting to be fixed. Cause and effect wasn't to be mixed with random happenings of suffering. The judgment of our own foggy perception was a mere deception of how God's fine balance works. So He said, "Everything is all right," which meant also inside. No matter what I feel or think, do not condemn yourself, it is all right. Do not hide, run away, hate or judge you. Do not try to be someone else. And even if you have taken luggage which wasn't yours, you could let it go. And then the mind calmed down. Peace, tranquility, I was just abiding there. Everything was clear and connected. Everything was whole and holy. But as all those insights and state were part of a ceremonial plate, the return back to normality was a shock of reality. Neither was here nor there, separated, yet I couldn't go back to how it once was. I knew what I heard, and all I wanted was to hear it again, and maybe one day stay there, always being in union. But the journey is long, and medicine plants are no shortcuts. I was spinning around in circles, thinking I had gone deep and knew a lot. Often the spirit would remind me I am not. 1 year, then a second, and even 4 had passed. Sweat lodges, Bagua seminars, and whatnot. While working in the material world, I needed to go deeper, but where? So I went to a vision quest. A quest to push my limits to the test. 4 days of no food, no water, no contact. All alone in the South Spanish forest. What is life without the buzzing contest? Never had I felt so much noise inside, counting the minutes, reviewing, remembering the smallest bits of my life, dreaming, praying, yet time was barely moving. And on the last night I saw for the first time my heart. As before that, I couldn't feel that part. It was a thing covered in bandages, barely breathing and moving. Each bandage was labeled, and with each bandage removing, I could finally see. Oh my dear heart, what a sight, of a sponge of charcoal dark, no way of entering light. What has happened to you, my friend? What have I done to you in the past? And on that dark sponge was a deep wound, no memory of its origin. But I made a decision from that day forth. No bandages would cover you, my dear. They couldn't make the wound disappear. And now, it was a time for it to heal. 1 year later, my heart wasn't open, but it was no longer dark. And what I felt was it had changed to a flower on the edge of its blossoming. Oh, the joy of such a change, despite there was still a lot to walk as arranged. Then after 7 days of fasting alone in the mountain, a walk I will always remember, how the trees were waving to us from the wind, how I finally felt I was part of the world. We are all connected, and you can be one with creation, and that was possible because my heart was no longer covered and protected, but it was embracing life's art. And like I said before, God hears all our prayers. From those 6 years, every prayer received an answer, in the exact time each came as a gift. And the biggest and deepest one was the Satrian Steve. Oh, I remember the first lesson. I knew I had finally found something I had dreamed since being a child. The first place, which didn't make you run away from the world, but told you, through the world you would find liberation. It was a huge realization. And then the first retreat came. Steve said to me, "You are home." And everything from there was different. The search was over. The walk had begun. But don't think everything was a treat. All my life turned upside down. Changes upon changes, jobs, homes, partner, friends, perceptions, behaviors, plans. Less and less the material world had something to offer. Parties, events, hobbies, belongings. No, please, I just wanted to go further within. No one understood why it was so special, that I would turn my whole life towards it. Big deal, a place for yoga and an art martial. How could I describe to them my deepest desire and what truly this path meant, when they can't even hear a friendly comment? The walk became more and more by myself. But God's whispers I saw in every tree, in every blossom and sunset. Each sight in nature was an odyssey of His love and patience. Behind every daily interaction, I could feel His fragrance. In every soul I met, I could see the one light. Even when buried behind curtains of an ego, reflecting also my schmiego, I could sense light talking to light. And as you know, every retreat brings to us what we must defeat. And with each one, pew after pew was dropping from me in order to heal. Under each layer an obstacle hidden, of shame, guilt, control or fear. From them being the heaviest stones, like vapor, they would eventually disappear. Step by step, the doubt was less. The path was narrowing. No place for dishonesty, no room for wasting time. No excuses or ill thoughts could stick, as immediately karma would hit. Gently, I would fall in love with every aspect of myself, understanding I didn't need to change anything in me, but abide more and more in who I was supposed to be. Seeing I was His creation, just like the flowers and birds I so much adore, I would appreciate my presence even more. One of the biggest burdens carried for more than 20 years was the taskmaster, hijacking even my practice, telling me daily, "You don't do enough. Sit more, do more, rest more, train more," always rushing me as he would persist. "You don't have much time, you won't make it much far." Lying I could exist without his whip. I had to stop his violent grip. And when I laid him in the ground and said goodbye, I could feel for the first time, I'm finally breathing. No one is pushing. We know the path is not straight. Old habits, patterns and thoughts may return to us like slingshots, but they don't weigh the same, as they just remind us how far we have came. Next was the lesson to rest, as I was always running here and there, task upon task creating. Thus the most important rule of the Tao breaking. I slowly learned to be a human being, not a human doing. Listening to the rhythm of the day, not the schedules I put on my display. And so now everything gets done in its time. I just have to follow His way, not mine. Let go after let go, I had to let go of everyone. As He takes care of us all, it is not my duty to carry. Let go of family, beloved, dear friends, and those in need. I had to let go of desires and vapors of stability, for they are not recorded on the path. And this summer was a jump in an abyss, in order to discover after it some bliss. May I rest in Him, was my unceasing prayer throughout the 40 days. While living in the turbulence of my head and heart of past trace, all this nonsense and old garbage I had to face. And I will never forget the day of the last Nidra, where I could finally really see, oh my God, He is within me. My heart is pure, and so is my soul. All of the noise is just clouds passing. And from that day forth I made a promise, not an agreement, but an omen to Him. Now this part is a little cheating, as within this poem I put my prayer and promise I had then written, and here it goes. I promised Him I would be kind to myself from now on. I promised Him I would befriend myself and my heart. I promised Him I will listen to my heart no matter what. I promised Him I will cherish the light in me which He has given. I promised Him I will not condemn myself as impure. I promised Him I will trust who I am. I promised Him I will rest in His arms wherever I go. I promised Him I will follow Him wherever He takes me. I promised Him I will allow all His love in me. I promised myself I will walk with Him as my real self. And since then everything has changed. Even when doubt, fear, or noise appear, I return to my promise. As also that is what the name Elizabeth means, an oath to God. Now I do not know what lies on the path ahead, but I know He will take care of everything, no need to be even said, as He cares for and loves all His creatures, no matter of their current features. And I see and can now say, my friends, that my whole life is an evidence of His love.